senses your movements and automatically adjusts to keep you effortlessly comfortable. Sleep Number, proven quality sleep is life-changing sleep. Save $1,000 on the Sleep Number 360 Special Edition Smart Bed. Queen now $17.99, plus special financing. Ends Monday. To learn more, go to sleepnumber.com. Special financing subject to credit approval. Minimum monthly payments required. See store for details.
Recently on Travel Planners, Kevin and Sue talk about the seashores and the Seychelles, and of course, the seafood.
What's for dinner in the Seychelles?
Well, Kevin, if you love seafood, and I know you do, this is the place for it. And combine the fresh seafood with the French Creole and, and the Indian influences. And I had this as many times as I could find it on the menu was the Creole mussels au gratin. It's had like a buttery cheese, kind of very light though, sauce where the mussels are cooked in. I'm telling you, when I say I licked the shells, I pretty much...
my kind of woman. That's right.
See, I won't let Kevin do that. He always says, "You're going to let me lick the shell on this one?" No.
Yeah, but you've never seen her chew down on a chicken bone either,
The Travel Planners Radio Show, Saturday mornings at 8 on WCGO.
Welcome, everyone, to Inside the Skev, and I'm your host, Aaron Masliansky. Today, I am really excited to speak with Raffi Arzoumanian, and Raffi is an architect. He founded A+C Architects in 1993 in the spirit of forming lasting partnerships with clients and communities through architecture and design. He is a designer's designer. He brings a unique vision to every project, delivering solutions that marry functionality with innovation. A+C Architects is located in Skokie on Main Street in between Niles Center and Skokie Boulevard. And several of his designs have been built throughout the area. So you can definitely recognize his design and as it continues through the area here and throughout Chicago. So Raffi, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure. And, you're very highly regarded. You've done quite a bit around here. And I think architects have a special place in our society. You're designing our places here. I used to work for an architect, and I've been imbued with this for many years. I have an urban planning background. So I think I kind of get where you're coming from, but why don't you share with the audience, your background and how did you come into this role of being an architect?
Well, it's been a while since I started. So actually my undergraduate studies was in philosophy. And toward the end of those studies, I got interested in aesthetics. And I figured I'll try something in the field. So I took a semester I enrolled into architectural school, took a semester with the intention that if I like it, I'll stick with it. And if I don't, I won't. I think I fell in love with it my first studio class. And that was it. I mean, I haven't stopped since, and it's become really a central part of my life.
What was it about that first studio class that made you fall in love with it?
I tell you something interesting. I think I'll give you the example. I just saw an ability to see in a different way. And I'll tell you the example that the professor had. He had two cardboard cylinders, and he was talking about relationships. And he said, if I set them one over here and one over here, they are two objects. But once I bring them a little bit closer, and he set them up, and he said, now they have a relationship. And I thought, wow, that's just a different way of looking at things, right? It's the same objects, but it kind of creates a relationship. And that was it. And that ability to see in a different way, which kind of goes back into philosophy and thinking in a different way and looking at things differently, kind of tied it all together and became it.
And was there something when you were growing up that, made you think in this manner and design in your built environment?
I don't think so. I mean, that's interesting because I know I come across a lot of people who kind of knew they want to be architects from very early on in their life, and they did drawings and all of that, which I really didn't. It was really much more intellectual kind of an approach to it. And I think that kind of reflects in my design as well. I always look for ways to explain the design, at least to myself. It may not make sense to other people, but I always think that the design is successful if I can tie it into a lot of social, historical, philosophical, psychological elements. Then I know that there is an anchor to the design.
And it's almost like you could understand it where it makes the function of somebody's life, their business, whatever it may be, work in the way that makes sense to you. Would you say that
Correct.
that's accurate?
Correct. Absolutely. Yeah, that's very accurate. Yeah.
And you didn't grow up here. When did you come to the United States, and what's that story?
I came, I was born and raised in Iran, and I came in 1978. Actually, I flew on the last Pan Am flight out of Iran just at the start of the revolution. And I came with a student visa. I had come to study. But obviously the revolution happened and things changed. And here I am 40 some years later in the United States.
You liked it here.
I like it quite a bit.
Yeah. And I think that's, it's an amazing, it's a shared story of many people who've immigrated to the United States, where you came here and we have such freedom and opportunity where it allowed you to grow and do, from philosophy to architecture and change the environment and the society of where we all live and mesh it all together.
Yeah. This is absolutely unique in that sense that, it's really the limit of what you can do is yourself, right? So the opportunities are there, and if you're aware and conscious, you can achieve great things, just not only for yourself, but also for your society, for your environment, for your people. There are plenty of opportunities.
There is, and I think it's right now the current mood. Things have changed. The administration's changed in the country, and I think that there was we keep swinging back and forth in this country between letting more people in or not. And you could see the great value of having different ideas of people from all around the world, and how we need to cherish that. That is the beauty of the United States, I'd have to say.
And that is what has made this country extremely successful and unique, and really a destination for all those people who are looking for really opportunities to grow. Absolutely.
Well, I love what you've brought here to the Skev, to the Skokie Evanston area. How would you describe your design? What type of design do you do?
It's very hard to talk about style, and I don't want to talk about style because I think it very much depends on clients, depends on type of projects. I think probably one of the core elements is that I like to design very conscious of the social and environmental forces. Therefore, I'm always looking at what is happening in the interaction between the client and the building type and use and the society, and what's going on in the society. So, I mean, in that sense, most of my work is much more modern in that sense. It's very timely. I try to be conscious of that. I try to fit it in its context, but sometimes the best solution is that if it doesn't, when it doesn't. So I would say if I had to categorize it, it's much more contemporary and modern than it is reference to the classical or postmodern.
And fitting the time of when you're doing it. And,
right.
And how did you end up in Skokie, locating your office here?
Well, we moved around quite a bit on the north side of Chicago and in the area. What developed as we were trying to find a home is that most of my clients, even the ones that are doing work in other areas of the metropolitan area, most of them live on the North Shore. So we wanted to find a place that we are It's convenient. We can get to highways, we can get downtown, we can get to different suburbs, and also to be close to our clients. And when I first came to Chicago, I lived in Skokie. So it was a familiar town, and it was a great town. I like the village, I like the town, I like the people. So we ended up in Skokie.
Yeah. Well, I think that is one of the beauties of Skokie, how convenient it is to so many different things. And you could get downtown and everywhere, like 20 minutes or so, and you're there, and you have the train now. And, but the firm and the history, I mean, you've been around since 1993, and you were in the South Loop, right? And then came up here. Yeah. What's it like to grow the business? How has it grown over the years and changed?
It has had, architecture is like any other business. We are prone to good times and bad times depending on economy. So we have had a lot of fluctuations up and down. For many years, it was Arzoumanian and Company. And then in the last 5 years, we've added a partner, Joanna Zhevchik, who manages the studio. And at that time, we changed the name of the company to be a little bit more general than just be about me. So that's why we abbreviated it to A+C Architects. It has had its challenges, and for the most part, has had great rewards. That we've been able to do socially responsible work. We've been able to do some institutional work. We've been able to design and build amazing homes for clients, not amazing from the design point of view, but amazing from the point of view of that we have residential clients that are very happy and they're very satisfied with the results. I think those are the most rewarding parts of it, and we're hoping to keep growing in that direction.
And I think that's so important. I mean, what you do by designing a home for somebody, I mean, that is where they live, and it affects everything about how they go about their lives. And if they have the right design and they feel comfortable within their home, then they could take that to the rest of what they do in their lives. And I think it's just such an important thing. One thing that I want to mention, for people who are listening right now, if you want to take a look at some of the designs, and we're going to talk about them as we go on and during the next hour, go to acarchitects.net. And there you could see examples of your work and learn more about it as we talk. But when we come back, I want to talk a little bit more about how things have changed over the past year, because I've read a lot of articles about how design is going to change, whether it be in offices, homes, institutional, due to the pandemic. So it is something that, I think is very important and top of mind. And everyone, please stick around for just a few moments for some of these messages.
Daycare or preschool for your child? Well, JCC Chicago is here for you. Introducing JCC Chicago Early Childhood's newest location at Beth Emmet Synagogue in Evanston for children 6 weeks to 5 years old. Contact Director Nicole Correa at jccchicago.org/tour for a virtual tour. Our nurturing educators and social services team create safe spaces for kids to develop social and emotional skills, including teamwork, independence, and empathy through classmate interaction. Our year-round outdoor classrooms provide abundant space to discover and nurture a lifelong love of learning. Full and half-day programs help children grow and flourish in their new classroom community. Schedule a virtual tour at jccchicago.org/tour to see why parents say they quickly notice the magic that happened day in and day out. And ask about the Hebrew Immersion Program. All the info's at jccchicago.org/tour. That's jccchicago.org/tour. Mortgage rates have reached record lows recently. If you see homeownership in your future, the future is now. Think of Beth Lewis at Cross Country Mortgage as your personal mortgage shopper. She'll sort through racks and racks of home financing options until she finds exactly the right style and fit for you. She'll get you pre-approved to give you an advantage over other buyers, and she'll close your loan quickly with a highly efficient process driven by advanced mortgage technology. So far in 2020, Beth has come through for over 680 individuals and families who needed home financing. Beth will be here for you too, because helping people get mortgages is what she does best. Visit BethLewisTeam.com to get started. That's BethLewisTeam.com. Or call 847-274-9745. That's 847-274-9745. Cross Country Mortgage LLC, NMLS 3029, www.nmlsconsumeraccess.org. Equal housing opportunity. Illinois Residential Mortgage Licensee.
Napa know-how. At Napa Auto Parts stores and Napa Auto Care centers, get a $25 prepaid Visa card when you get any Napa Automotive battery. It's the best deal for some of the best batteries from some of the best car people around. But we might be a little partial. Anywho, pick up any Napa Automotive battery and save $25. Do it yourself or have it done for you. That's Napa know-how. Napa know-how. At participating Napa Auto Parts stores and Napa Auto Care centers while supplies last. Offer ends 8/31/20.
Hello, this is Danny Farrell, inviting you to step back into the time tunnel with me for the original Big Band Showcase right here on WCGO, AM 1590 and 95.9 FM every Saturday evening starting at 9 p.m. The original Big Band Showcase. We cover all the greats from the 1920s, 30s, 40s, and some of the big bands working today. That's the original Big Band Showcase. Join me, won't you? Right here on WCGO Saturday night.
Moving day is a happy day, but how can you be sure all of your stuff will get to the new place in the same condition they left the old place? Upgrade your experience to First Class Moving and Storage. You'll get a team of professionals who treat all of your belongings with care and have the right tools to make the job go smoothly. They even offer a full packing service. Upgrade to First Class Moving and Storage. They're local and independently owned. For more info, visit the website at firstclassmovers.com. That's the number one, stclassmovers.com.
It's JT and Leanne. Join us for Married with Microphones.
Special guests, hot news topics, and our hilarious relationship report cards.
Saturdays, 6 p.m. on WCGO.
Welcome back, everyone, to Inside the Skev, and I am here with Raffi Arzoumanian, and we're talking about architecture and his work here in Skokie and around the area. And we left off when we were talking a little bit about how things have changed in terms of architecture and design and with your firm over the past year with the pandemic. So tell us a little bit about that. How have things changed in terms of how you design and where you view your mission in the society?
Question. Well, I mean, how it has changed in the last year, I think, we're seeing different trends in different markets because we're kind of involved in several distinct markets. I mean, we do custom residential work, we do some institutional work, mostly in religious sector, and we do some hospitality work, banquet halls, restaurants, things like that. So it's interesting what has happened in each of those. On the residential side, and especially in the multifamily portion of it, where before the pandemic, there was a trend toward smaller dwelling units, but much larger spaces for amenities and very specific use of amenities like theater and a game room and things like that.
Right.
We're seeing a bigger demand on, if not necessarily significantly larger dwelling units, but dwelling units that are designed to allow for work from home. In other words, to have a quiet space, to have a room that can be separated, that can be used as an office, that feels professional, right? Yep. So we're seeing that kind of that in the multifamily and in the residential. I mean, I had an example where I have a client who before pandemic was looking for a building for his business, and now he has decided that he's going to convert part of his house to his permanent office, and he will continue to work from his home. So we have to go back and make some adjustments to the house. And we're seeing that.
Let me ask you this. How much space was he looking for before the pandemic? And
I had helped them look at a few spaces, a few smaller buildings, actually in the Skokie, Evanston area, and they were about 3,000 to 4,000 square feet. Now he's functioning with about 600 square feet.
Interesting. Yeah. Go ahead. But that is interesting to think about that.
Yeah. So that's on the residential. Same thing with single family homes. People are looking for off space, for a place where the kids can be active all day because they're home, but the parent, one or two of them, can have a quiet place, an office that it's set up in such a way that it can be functional. So it's not that they're using it every once in a while. On the institutional, I think it's much more technology driven, having different ways of taking temperature, different ways of controlling entrances and exits and grouping of events and functionalities, things like that. I'm not seeing so far, I haven't really seen a big impact on the space aspect of it. It's just much more into the adjacencies and relationships of the spaces and kind of the circulation that seems to be being affected with what we're doing right now. How that's going to manifest itself, I'm not sure.
Are you saying like ways to be able to keep people separated or be able to exit without having them go back into the place where people are entering to kind of minimize?
Yeah, minimize that kind of interaction. Also within a larger venue to be able to group people in the smaller clusters without impacting their participation in a larger whole. Right, so
what about using more natural ventilation? Is that something that people are looking for?
Yeah, I'm hearing it. I mean, that's the two things that I think define our very common thread in our design is the use of light and ventilation. We are very big on the amount of light and how much natural ventilation we can get into our buildings, into our design, because we think that connection is critical. And I think we're seeing more understanding of it, or more welcoming of that by clients to have, because people feel that definitely has an impact on your health. So no more dark boxes.
No, exactly. Would you say the focus on the health is kind of the zeitgeist of our time right now?
Yeah, I think on the health and I mean, the social distancing, I mean, I actually don't like the phrase social distancing. I think it should be physical distancing, not social distancing.
Agreed.
I think this experience has created a great craving for a safe social interaction. And I think that health is that. And I think how we interact with each other at the other side of this is going to be different.
Yeah, I think so too. It's I'm curious to see how things swing back and forth, because assuming the pandemic subsides and people are able to get back together, are we going to feel comfortable to be back together like that? Or how long is it going to take for people to feel comfortable around each other?
Yeah, good question. I hope it's more how long it will take than if, it will be different. And, human beings are social animals. I think also human beings are extremely adaptable. We'll find ways to either live with it or get around it,
Mm-hmm. What do you feel is the responsibility of architecture and architects in the improvement of human health and social responsibility?
I'm a believer that architects truly have a social responsibility. Even when we, as I said, when we design single family homes, we are conscious of that because the person who lives in that gets out and has a social role. They do something. So we always think about the architect's social responsibility. I think architects are in a unique situation where they can affect human behavior in a very passive way without it being a lecture, without it being preaching to people. Mm-hmm. They can do it by making the day-to-day experience seamless. So give you an example. I have, like, at my home, right? I have no pictures on walls because all day I deal with images, right? So I always feel in that sense, architecture is a background, right? It's a background for experiences of life. So I think the more the architects, the more they're in tune the more they are in tune with their client's way of living and working or worshiping or whatever it is, they have an opportunity to create an environment that promotes that. once that's promoted, then it has positive impact on the society.
And one thing, we're going to take a short break, but I want to talk about your designs and how they have impacted society. And everyone just stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Looking for safe and nurturing daycare or preschool for your child? Well, JCC Chicago is here for you. Introducing JCC Chicago Early Childhood's newest location at Beth Emmet Synagogue in Evanston for children 6 weeks to 5 years old. Contact Director Nicole Correa at jccchicago.org/tour for a virtual tour. Our nurturing educators and social services team create safe spaces for kids to develop social and emotional skills, including teamwork, independence, and empathy through classmate interaction. Our year-round outdoor classrooms provide abundant space to discover and nurture a lifelong love of learning. Full and half-day programs help children grow and flourish in their new classroom community. Schedule a virtual tour at jccchicago.org/tour to see why parents say they quickly notice the magic that happened day in and day out. And ask about the Hebrew Immersion Program. All the info's at jccchicago.org/tour. That's jccchicago.org/tour.
Napa know-how. Get all the quality parts you need at your locally owned Napa. Because right now, when you order from Napa online, you can pick up curbside at your local store in just 30 minutes. Or get your order delivered direct to your door with free one-day shipping on over 160,000 quality parts when you spend $35 or more. Quality parts delivered quickly and safely. That's Napa know-how. Napa know-how. At participating stores, standard ground shipping and exclusions apply.
Reading, writing, and math are a struggle for a lot of young students. At BrainLinks, we know those skills are what paves the way to independence and success. Our specialists will help your child develop the habits they need to make sure they strive, not only in class, but out in the world in general. And of course, for everyone's safety, our lessons are done completely online. For more info on our team members and to schedule your initial consultation, visit BrainLinksAcademics.com. That's BrainLinksAcademics.com. Are you looking for a way to be creative right now? Have you ever wanted to learn to watercolor paint? You can now do that from the comfort of your own home with Zoom watercolor classes. Get professional instruction from nationally showing artist Victoria Elizabeth. These classes are step-by-step, broken down with easy-to-understand instructions. They're affordable too, at $15 for a 2-hour class. Visit her website at victoriaelizabethart.com to find out more. That's victoriaelizabethart.com.
Hi, I'm Aaron Masliansky, longtime Skokie and Evanston resident, host of Inside the Skev, and local real estate expert. As a community connector and realtor with Dreamtown Realty in downtown Evanston, I know firsthand what makes the Skev such an amazing place to live. When I'm helping my clients buy and sell properties inside of the Skev or out, I'm doing it with the best technology and support team behind me at Dreamtown. During the pandemic, I've been able to help my clients seamlessly stay on track with their home search. From immersive 3D Matterport tours, professional photos, to virtual open houses, my clients can find their homes safely and comfortably, and even from their couch. When you're ready to make a move, know that I'll be here to help. You can always find out more about me at skevinston.com/real estate. Again, that's skevinston.com/real estate, or email me at aaron@skevinston.com.
It's JT and Leanne. Join us for Married with Microphones.
Special guests, hot news topics, and our hilarious relationship report cards.
Saturdays, 6 p.m. on WCGO.
Welcome back, everyone, to Inside the Skev, and I am here with Raffi Arzoumanian, and we're talking about architecture and the different work that he's worked on, and just how architecture is so important in society. And one of the things I really want to get to and talk about is your designs and things that you've done around the Skev. And what are some of the buildings that people would know and recognize around here and realize it's yours?
I think probably the two more visible projects is the KCT Synagogue Church and Crawford Synagogue, and Elmwood Collections in, I would say Elmwood, on Elmwood.
On Elmwood.
On Elmwood, yeah. So this kind of name gives it away, right? So those are, I mean, we've done a lot of single family, a lot of residential. We have some other projects, but those are probably the most visible in the Skokie area.
So I want to talk about those two projects because I think that they're really, really interesting because architecture solves a problem, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And, you know, you're always pose this question, how do I solve this problem? And how do I make all the different types of things work for the client? Right. So the KCT synagogue, it's a very interesting design for a corner that really hadn't been touched in, I don't know, 60 years probably. Right. And I think it's got great potential. You're next to a park. You've got, you know, you needed to be able to fit a large capacity of people there, have parking, all these different elements. And you had two different types of services that you had to have two different sanctuaries in there, right, but make it all work to make it feel seamless. And it's got this different type of design that you don't typically see around Skokie. So how did you figure that out?
You know, we had a great committee. We had a great building committee. We had a lot of conversations. We had a lot of different designs, but I think finally it came to several things. I mean, there are functional things and there are symbolic things, right? So the size of the two sanctuaries was very different, but for me, it was very important to make sure they both have equal representation, at least from an exterior, from overall mass of the building. So that was one. For me, was also, as I said before, that I always try to tie my design or find elements that will tie my design to the history or the culture or, you know, things like that. So, for instance, give you an example, there are 12 square windows in each sanctuary, which is like 12 tribes. There is the two elements of the two sanctuaries separated by an element is the idea of the parting of the sea. You know, so just there are, I don't want to keep going through it, but there are a lot of elements like that kind of form the basis of the design, right? So that was kind of the symbolic part of it. But then beyond that, the use of stone, reference to Jerusalem stone, having a large pre-function area that would accommodate both the synagogues, both shows. All were factors that came together and brought the design to what it is, right? So as I said also before, I wanted it to be, I'm always looking at what it means today rather than looking at it. I mean, yes, definitely there's historic references, but take those historic references and interpret them to today. The solidity of the walls is important because unfortunately security is a tremendous concern with religious institutions. So we took that historical material being stone and used it in such a way that responds to the security needs today, right? So there's that kind of connections of those elements that brings the design together.
And I think one interesting thing too is that you have this beautiful design and it is going to continue on in that corner because you're designing a condo building next door to it at the hard corner of Church and Crawford. So so when you look at that design, are you taking into account the design of the synagogue and how that interplays with it? And how do you come up with a concept for that type of building when something like that didn't really exist before? It's much taller than what would be in the past.
Yeah, well, that's very interesting. Actually, the building, the condo building, does not really have any. If you would look at them side by side, you would not think that they are related. They're related through their architect, right? They're very different because one is really communicates to the community, to the society as a whole. It has a different role. Even its exterior has a different role. It says something different. The other building, the condo building, is really a residential building. So it's much more internally oriented. in terms of the design of the spaces, dwelling units, how people interact, privacy, sound, things like that. So they're very, very distinct. So there's very little reference from one to the other. And it was intentional. I didn't want somebody look at those buildings and think remotely, even start thinking that they are somehow related in functionality or in their conception to each other. I wanted them to visually be distinct from each other.
That is interesting. And I think it's good to have the distinctness of it, because then it creates more of a place in a way, because you get these different types of designs and different ideas.
Right.
And it's not just a monolith.
Exactly. And that's, I mean, like you asked me about why Skokie. One of the things that appeals to me about Skokie a lot is that a lot of, let's say, downtown, or which I'm very conscious of, urban settings, is developed little by little. So it has a lot of diversity in its architecture and in the way it feels, and that makes it homey, makes it feel comfortable. And I think projects are successful when they are, I mean, streets are successful. The space between the buildings is successful when there is that kind of diversity in architecture and massing and in quality of light and material uses.
Well, it's almost like the ideas of new urbanism, where you have like these different types of buildings and it's smaller scale and it's walkable, as opposed to things that maybe you saw built in the 1970s, where it was much more, or 60s and 70s, where maybe it's the neo-brutalist style, where they're larger buildings and they have this massive scale. And for some places, it may not work as well. Another thing that I want to talk about is the Elmwood project, because I think that's so interesting. And it's right by the main Skokie post office. If you're going just there, just east of there, close to this newer bike path, it's beautiful. And it's an adaptive reuse of an older warehouse building, where you took the existing structure to make that part of the parking garage, and then you built these townhomes on top of it. It's beautiful. And it's just such a great way of using the space. And you have a park that you designed that's incorporated into it.
Right.
How did you come up with that? And what were there other concepts that were originally tossed around?
Yeah, I mean, we worked on that project in several stages. I mean, when the same client owned both the property for the park and the building, there was a time that when we were starting to look at how we're going to develop that property, we were talking about doing townhouses where the park is right now and tear down the building, so among many other options. But finally, the decision was made that we're going to do a park for the daycare. And that was a good setting, good relationship to the building across the street. And that's what we're going to do. And then the question was, if we're going to tear down the building, the existing the industrial building. And after a lot of conversation, we came to the conclusion that we still have to provide people with parking. And we have an opportunity, because of the way the zoning is, we can have a taller buildings, which literally, if you stand on the roof decks of those townhouses right now, you can see Sears Tower on a clear day.
Oh, wow.
It's a great view. I mean, honestly, it's a great view. So that kind of informed the decision-making process. So what we did was we treated the existing building as your ground. That's it. So we capped it off, and then we literally built 3 stories of individual townhouses on top of it. And then we gave them a lot of outdoor space, because the views are great. I mean, on the lower levels, you have a view of the walking path, right? On the upper levels, you have views of downtown Chicago, and you have views of the whole town. So there's given that there isn't a lot of like yard space, we gave them a lot of outdoor spaces within the units. And it's a unique product. And from exterior, we were very conscious of the setting. So we took the size of windows, configuration of windows from the industrial buildings in the area. We kept the brick walls wherever we could on the interior. So you walk in and you see the old brick walls of the building that is the parking right now. So opportunities were there. We just identified them. It was an amazing project. We really were very excited about being able to do something like that and not add more to the landfills,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was really well executed. Was it harder to do an adaptive reuse than just tearing it down and going from scratch?
Sure. There are more challenges you have to deal with when you're trying to work within given criterias, right? But it's worth every effort.
Yeah. One thing I want to know is, what are some of the types of projects that you're working on right now?
Well, we're working on another mixed-use residential in Skokie on Skokie Boulevard. We are working on a arts and entertainment center in Naperville. We're just starting another a community center in Lincolnwood, and numerous single-family homes. Of the ones that I can think of right now.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a good sign, because sometimes, when this pandemic started, people thought, oh God, everything is drying up and, what's going to happen. But the fact that you're working on community centers, art and theater, mixed use projects, that is a sign that people are optimistic, and there's going to be some great things coming, I think, in the next few years. When we come back from the break, we're going to talk a little bit about your art gallery that you have at your studio space in Skokie and how that's going to be utilized in the near future. So everyone stick around. We'll be right back.
Relationships are at the base of just about everything in life. If those relationships thrive, so does your life and your business. Pruce Coach Leader Academy helps individuals to entire companies learn a coach approach to support positive relationship. PCLA's ICF accredited coach training program transforms and equips individuals and companies with a skill set to support others' growth and development. PCLA. We coach, we train, we mentor. Get started today at PruceCoachLeader.com. That's PREUSS Coachleader.com. Moving day is a happy day, but how can you be sure all of your stuff will get to the new place in the same condition they left the old place? Upgrade your experience to First Class Moving and Storage. You'll get a team of professionals who treat all of your belongings with care and have the right tools to make the job go smoothly. They even offer a full packing service. Upgrade to First Class Moving and Storage. They're local and independently owned. For more info, visit the website at firstclassmovers.com. That's the number 1, stclassmovers.com.
Hello, this is Denny Farrell, inviting you to step back into the time tunnel with me every Saturday evening from 9 until 11 p.m. right here on WCGO, the original Big Band Showcase. I'll be playing all of your favorites from the 1920s, 30s, 40s, and some of the good big bands working today. Now that's Saturday evening at 9 p.m. right here on WCGO, 1590 AM and 95.9 FM, the original Big Band Showcase.
Hi, I'm Aaron Masliansky, longtime Skokie and Evanston resident, host of Inside the Skev, and local real estate expert. As a community connector and realtor with Dreamtown Realty in downtown Evanston, I know firsthand what makes the Skev such an amazing place to live. When I'm helping my clients buy and sell properties inside of the Skev or out, I'm doing it with the best technology and support team behind me at Dreamtown. During the pandemic, I've been able to help my clients seamlessly stay on track with their home search. From immersive 3D Matterport tours, professional photos, to virtual open houses, my clients can find their homes safely and comfortably, and even from their couch. When you're ready to make a move, know that I'll be here to help. You can always find out more about me at skevinston.com/real estate. Again, that's skevinston.com/real estate, or email me at aaron@skevinston.com.
Mortgage rates have reached record lows recently. If you see homeownership in your future, the future is now. Think of Beth Lewis at Cross Country Mortgage as your personal mortgage shopper. She'll sort through racks and racks of home financing options until she finds exactly the right style and fit for you. She'll get you pre-approved to give you an advantage over other buyers, and she'll close your loan quickly with a highly efficient process driven by advanced mortgage technology. So far in 2020, Beth has come through for over 680 individuals and families who needed home financing. Beth will be here for you too, because helping people get mortgages is what she does best. Visit BethLewisTeam.com to get started. That's BethLewisteam.com. Or call 847-274-9745. That's 847-274-9745. Cross Country Mortgage LLC, NMLS 3029, www.nmlsconsumeraccess.org. Equal housing opportunity. Illinois Residential Mortgage Licensee.
Well, Chief, what's all the excitement about?
You're listening to Smart Talk.
You should get a medal for this.
1590 AM and 95.9 FM.
This is a big one.
Welcome back, everyone, to Inside the Skev. I'm here with Raffi Arzoumanian, and we've been talking a lot about just how got into architecture, how the pandemic has changed design, the different designs that we've seen around Skokie that A&C Architecture has created. And one thing that I think is so unique of what you have is you have this beautiful art gallery at your studio space. Tell us a little bit about that, and is it open to the public?
That's my pet project. Right? I more than 20 years ago, I thought if I ever have a space of my own, I will have an art gallery. So what do you know? We have it. So it is. I love talking about it. It's when we designed our space, we allocated exclusively for this purpose a space for a gallery. It's a non-for-profit. We invite local artists or artists who are interested to exhibit, to come and exhibit. We give them the space for a period of 4 to 6 weeks. Before the pandemic, we threw the opening night event and we invited friends, people, neighbors, clients, artists did most of the work. It's their space. I only give them advice if they ask for it. Otherwise, they have free, complete control of how they want to do it. We have a great time. I love being around art, and we've had great response. Mayor in Skokie has been incredible support. He comes to all the openings. Artists are very happy to see his recognition of their efforts, and we've had great response. Unfortunately, as of March of this year, we don't have anything going on, right. Even though we had exhibits scheduled until middle of 21. But yes, it is open to public. Whenever we are in the office, it's very visible from the street. People are welcome to come in, and if I'm around, I'm happy to walk them personally, show them the artwork. So artists do the exhibit night, and they have the art gallery throughout the time. We usually try to do one other event. We do like an artist talk. We had one artist who also plays an instrument. He sat in the gallery, he played the guitar, and he sang, and it is a great time. And we do a lot of diverse. We've had sculptures, we've had photography, we've had paintings of different kind. So we welcome artists.
Now you talk about photography. I know you have a great interest in photography. Do you ever feature your own photos there?
Not yet. I don't think I'm good enough yet.
Yeah. Well, one day. Keep working at it.
One day. I keep practicing. One of these days,
Exactly. Yeah. Well, I think that it is so unique in Skokie that your space, I mean, I don't know if there's any other space like yours that exists right now. Is there?
I'm not aware of any. I do not know. I mean, I know there are a few artists in town that they have their own galleries.
Yeah.
But I'm not aware of something like this. I don't think something like this as a gallery, as a nonprofit gallery that is, the space is specifically for a gallery. There are probably cafes and restaurants that exhibit artists' paintings or pictures or whatever.
Sure.
But that's not the main reason that they're there. This space is exclusively for that purpose, does not get used for anything else. It is the gallery.
Well, I think is so important for a community is art, and bringing the artists in and exposing more people to a community. And you look at what's going on in downtown Skokie between what you're doing, development on Skokie Boulevard, Sketchbook Brewing Company, Ignite Gaming, project at Lincoln and Oakton. I mean, there's so many different things going on in downtown Skokie that you kind of have to look around and be like, wait a second here, there's momentum.
Yeah, it's very exciting. It's truly very exciting. That, I mean, just looking back 10, 15 years ago, I mean, we've been in Skokie for a long time, there was nothing.
Nothing.
And considering the pandemic, considering the financial problems a few years back, I think Skokie is doing has a great future. It's just a wonderful place to be.
And one, I think the advantages of, where there still is a lot of opportunity for new developments in downtown Skokie, is that people can take into consideration what we were going through in the pandemic and design the new spaces to take into account the ways to make people healthier. So I think that you are at a great advantage to be able to help design that, knowing downtown Skokie so well, being anchored here, and people should really take advantage of your knowledge and know-how, because I think that can really make us as a community healthier, and have people be able to easily shop and utilize the businesses here, and they're going to feel confident that they can go ahead and do that. So I see a lot on the horizon. Do you agree?
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think we would love to do that. What is also great, my experience has been with the village of Skokie is very forward thinking. The staff at the village level, the leaders are very forward thinking. They very much encourage the development, encourage progressive way of looking at things. They're open to ideas. On and off, I've been involved in different things that the village has looked at in terms of zoning and things related. And I think just knowing that they are open to fresh ways of looking at things, it's extremely encouraging, because I deal with a lot of different municipalities, and that is not the norm. This is exception. That the staff and the leadership is in tune, and they really trying to do what's best for the community, and for not only for now, but the future of the community. And that's just has been an awesome experience for me.
Yeah, no, I think they're great. Having worked there for a summer back many years ago, and knowing a lot of the people who are still there, I think that I 100% agree with you. One thing that I'd love to see them do is get accessory dwelling units approved to be able to be built here, because I know in Evanston, and I've had on people to talk about that, the Evanston Development Corporation, and I know in Chicago they're doing that, and that could really increase affordability for many people, and even be able to create backyard offices, whatever it may be, and it creates a lot of value.
I think I don't know how fast it's going to happen, because there's such a shortage of affordable housing throughout the country, everywhere, that I think most municipalities, most towns are either working on or exploring different avenues of making that easier. I mean, there are towns who have gotten rid of the single family zoning altogether. There is no more single family zoning. So there are, I think there's some momentum nationally that something will come.
Well, I hope so. Well, we only have a minute left, so I just want to remind everybody that if they want to learn more about ANC Architects, they should go to acarchitects.net, and you've got everything on social media there too, so plenty to follow and check out. I also want to remind everybody that if you want to listen to more episodes, learn about what I'm doing, go to skevinston.com. And I've had the real pleasure of speaking with so many different people throughout the community that you may not realize are here, but they are fantastic. So please check that out. Raffi, I really appreciate you coming on the show today and sharing your story. Wonderful what you're doing here.
Thank you. It was a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And everyone, have a good week. Thanks so much for listening.